Okay, I am now live. Let's make sure everything is working here. Audio is good. Window capture is good. Okay. All right. Let's wait for some people to come in. Okay. Let's get started here. All right, so let's get start. Let's start off with SPY here. So the market's finally rolled over. We lost this 50 SMA here on the daily time frame. We've been using it as support for the past, let's say, well, since ever since the start of this bounce, actually, since 2020. So it's been a pretty strong support. Now that we've broken it to a downside, though, we're going to see whether or not we're going to have that that pull up back towards the 50 SMA to use it as a new level of resistance. What SPY tends to do here is SPY tends to fill in whatever gap it makes, whether it be a gap up or a gap down. Okay, we saw that type of action last week where whenever we gapped up, every single red day that you see here, we decided to fill the gap down, right? We filled that gap up that we did in the morning all the way back down, right? And then we saw that consistently, even in the gap down as well. And so by the action today, where we bounced off around 430, which is also a previous area of support here, there's a little bit of demand here. I strongly believe we can have a dead cat bounce. What that means is that um, when we bounce with low volume, we tend to reject off of major levels of resistance or areas of supply and continue that downward movement, that downward trend. And that's the reason why we call it dead cat bounce, because that bounce is not sufficient enough to start or come back into that uptrend. So tomorrow I am going to be expecting a gap fill only if and only if, okay, if we are able to break up above the high of 436.56, and if we don't, then we can see a little range form between maybe 434.50ish to around 436.50ish. Okay, we might see a little tight range forming here, but I do really want to see a gap fill here because SPY always loves to fill in gaps. Okay, so that's kind of it for SPY. There really isn't much to look at to tomorrow, other than the fact that we watch out for that gap fill. Um, Other than that, if we do a gap fill, we might head up all the way up to 440 on low volume, a lot lower volume than today, obviously. Um, but that's pretty much it. Just look out for these levels here: 440 to 441, and then 434.50 to 436.50. We need to break the high of today's candlestick in order to see an official confirmation that we're going to start filling this gap upwards. Okay. All right. So the next name that I kind of want to look at is PLTR. So PLTR today was holding relatively strong at around the morning, around 2 hours after the market opened, when the market kept on hitting new lows. Um, and PLTR looked pretty strong. If you look at the 15-minute time frame here, yeah, so yeah, almost at the 2 hour mark here. Um, we were using 28 as a level of resistance, but ultimately it lost the buying power. There was no more buying going on, and this level of resistance around 28. So we just started to move lower and lower and lower with the market eventually, and we got some support right at that previous area of resistance here. So we formed a heavy area of resistance here back in early September, early September here, and we immediately started to bounce up from around 26, which is great because that also conversed with the 21 SMA here. All right, so it's great to see that we kind of retouched the 21 SMA, but also troubles me to see that it's touching the 21 SMA so many times as we're heading up higher. Now, I do have to say PLTR is trading a little bit better in the fact that we're getting a little bit more of a wider price range. So if we have this, well, not if we have, since we had this wide price range here today and last week when we broke out, this can allow more, I guess you would say, more price volatility and more of a daily price range to expand on PLTR here. Hey, Kevin. Yes, I will chart AMD right after this. So PLTR still looks very good. We did not lose the 21 SMA. So this 21 SMA on the daily time frame for me is going to be the next area that we need to hold. But so far we lost the 10 SMA today, but we're still not too far away from it. We just came right back down to the previous level of resistance, which should be now our new level of demand, area of demand, so a new level of support. And so if you're able to hold this area right here around 26 to around 26.55 and bounce above 26.50 to 55, we should see a continuation upwards, slowly though, okay, depending on what the market does, because there's heavy level of resistance around 27.50, okay? All right, so that's it for PLTR. Let's look at AMD. Okay, so AMD, just like any other name today, we all gap down, okay? And just to make sure, guys, I have a question here for you all. Is the quality of the video high or is it very, very low? If you guys don't mind me telling me that. Because on my side, everything looks fine, but I want to make sure everything looks good on your side. I'm pretty sure it's not the ultimate quality, but I just want to make sure that you guys are able to see the numbers, where my mouse cursor is at, and nothing's pixelated. Because I know the lives, when they're posted after the fact that I'm done with the live, they're all HD, but that's good. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Sky. Thank you, bro. Okay, so with this flag here, since we broke to the downside, so I was expecting a flag to form like this, but with the market movement, everything changed. Usually It's not the best quality, but readable. Okay. I'll try to make sure to improve that on my streaming platform here, since YouTube streaming thing is kind of it's kind of like a mirror thing, but I will try to get that better. Okay, so but hard to see the numbers. Okay, so I'll make sure that I zoom in whenever I'm talking about levels. Then thank you, Kevin. Okay, so with AMD, um, I've seen stocks that are in a really hard uptrend like this, and this is still basically holding its uptrend, but whenever they break whatever bullish chart pattern that they're starting to form, I've seen stocks do this. Um, they break below, okay, like we did today. They break below the support here on this ascending support trend line, and then they start moving back up, and then they kind of see some little resistance because now we're using this level of ascending support as new level of resistance, because that's what happens in a downtrend. But eventually they kind of push back inward towards the chart pattern, and there could be two scenarios here. We either bounce really hard back into the chart pattern here and start conforming to this chart pattern one more time, or we kind of stick really close to this support level once again, and then eventually break below the support level again, as and completely negating this bullish chart pattern here and making it into a bearish breakdown. Okay, so that also means, okay, if this price action does become in fact true here for AMD, there's still a lot of opportunities here. So let me erase all these drawings. So if I look at the let's look at the 1 hour time frame to be a little bit closer here. Okay, so I'll make sure that you guys are able to see the levels here. So right now, we're not really in oversold conditions. I mean, if I, yeah, so we came right back above. I mean, we ended up around 40-ish. Okay, so this is fine. We're not really in oversold conditions. We were for most of the day, but since the overall market bounced back up pretty hard today, actually, we can see another push upwards. And so on the 1 hour time frame here, I expect us to kind of come back up above the 10 SMA on the 1 hour and the 2 hour SMA as well, 2 hour 21 SMA as well. Okay, so in the 2 hour time frame, okay, this SMA right here, 21 SMA is around 104.50 ish. It's definitely going to dive, all right, as the price is coming back up. So both the 10 and the 21 SMA on the 2 hour time frame here are going to dive, and tomorrow we will most likely see a rejection around 102.70ish to 103ish, as we're kind of if we continue to bounce up higher from the last hour that we had today. So we should be able to see some type of a push up towards 103ish. And if we're able to break above this ascending level of resistance here, because this is now level of resistance now, since we're underneath this level here, we should be able to come back up and then maybe head towards 104. Okay, so okay, so we're back. All right, so the Wi-Fi has been doing that lately. I apologize about that. It's been disrupting my trading as well, but the Wi-Fi should be fine. Okay, so yes, I did do PLTR. That was my first name. Relates. So you might want to look at the live after it's posted. I do it right away after SPY, so it's like I would say around 7 to maybe around 5 minutes in, even 7 to 5 minutes in of the video. So make sure you watch it after I post it here. I'll post it right away after the live. So that should be good there for you. Okay, so FANG. So this is an energy stock, I believe. Yep, energy. Energy has been pretty strong the past couple of well, the past week actually, as the market was kind of starting to roll over. So energy is a good area to look at, um, especially with all the. I believe there's shortages happening in the UK right now, and there's energy companies are worried actually that they might. I think they're worrying that they might shut down because of the fact that prices are surging, if I'm correct on that. But I need to read the article again. I saw it for a brief moment earlier this morning. So, um, okay. So for Fang here, so we had the initial dip in most energies here um, back in August, but it seems like for Fang here, we immediately recovered, and now we're all back above the 50, 10, and 21. So this looks really good, to be honest. Um, Obviously, right? Obviously, since the gap down we had today, we're kind of right back into this range, and I'm seeing this with a lot of my stocks that I'm watching as well. We're just holding for Fang here. We're holding this area between 76 to around 81. So this also looks like some type of a inverse head and shoulders pattern. This is the left shoulder. This is the head, and this is the right shoulder here. Okay, excuse my uh, very bad drawings here, but just want to make sure you guys are able to see that. So if you're able to kind of do the same action that we did right here, kind of chop around and stay near this level of resistance around 81 instead of kind of forming this choppiness near this area of support, we should see a breakout above 81 in the next few days or even next week. I would preferably want it to be next week because of the fact that I love to see stocks kind of moving sideways before a little bit more before they break out, because the breakout tends to be a lot stronger and a lot better in the sense that we can continue up higher and higher and higher after even after the breakout. So this should be good. But yeah, Fang looks good. XLE, okay, that's the energy sector. We held above the 200 SMA one more time here, but obviously Fang looks a lot better than the overall ETF, the energy ETF here. If you guys would like to look at a cheaper name for XLE, there's a name for there's another name here, ERX. But this is a leverage 2 times leveraged name here. So I guess we'll have to be careful, especially if you're playing equity. But ERX, XLE, whatever you guys want to choose, I would recommend XLE. Energy has been looking like it could be the sector that kind of moves inversely to the market, just like for any of my subscribers here who are on live right now, who are on this live, just like the biotech sector, XBI, that I've talked to you guys about in the market summary. So have your eyes on the healthcare sector, biotech sector, and energy as well. The reason why I didn't really look at energy for the C.F.O Single Watch was that it's really not that popular. It doesn't a lot of people don't have the patience for energy moves and the way it moves. So it's energy doesn't sound sexy, all right, like tech, right? So it's something that you can just check up on, okay? But okay, so that's it for energy there. Anyone else? FB, good one. Good one. So I also looked at FB today as it was getting wrecked here. Just like, this thing looks exactly like SPY. We've been respecting the 50 SMA, after this breakout. One thing that I am kind of regretting on FB here was that I got in at the breakout of right here. Okay, I got another breakout here, and I got another retest right here back in March. And I believe I had September contracts. And you guys can see where I could have been with my September contracts. But you know what? I tend to hold my swings for 2 to 3 days. So I can't really do much. And I think I sold around right here. Yeah, so March 17th is exactly the day I sold here. I sold around 283.50ish, I believe, if I'm not mistaken there. So that's still a very, very large move. That was a huge week of profits there for me for FB. But obviously, there's a huge monumental move here. Um, I should have gone with my gut feeling there, even though I've done all the research there. Sometimes your gut feeling is, um, your final kind of factor that you have to, factor in to your whatever analysis that you've done. But for FB, what's interesting is that my fundamental and technical analysis, based off of even on the option contracts that I was looking at, big money was buying option contracts all the way up to almost 400 strikes into next year and November and December. I don't know if they're still on those contracts now, but I was seeing that right here, around here, and I was like, oh, okay. So FB is kind of undervalued here based on my fundamental analysis that I've done, and this can really really do well. And so my analysis only gave me a myopic view of this little tiny movement here. Obviously, it's tiny, even though it might have looked very very big. The option contracts were telling me that there can be a potential move all the way up to almost 400, and we almost did that. But due to market conditions, we are starting to head lower. Okay, so FB, there really isn't much to look at FB. I know FB can bounce tomorrow with the market if the market moves. SPY, QQQ. I know all of them are going to bounce tomorrow based on futures action currently so far, overnight futures. So let's actually take a look at NQ. So NQ is the Nasdaq futures for tech, and Sean, I will do NUE and CLF. Ooh, there's some good names there. So NQ, okay, we had a nice support bounce here again around 1,480, 1,400, 14,800. All right, and we bounced right back to the 15k mark here. So I'm going to expect, as the night goes on, I'm going to expect NQ futures here, so QQQ futures, to move up near the 50 SMA a little bit more. But so far it's gained a good percentage, 25%, 0.25%. That's pretty good. But tomorrow when the market opens, I'm going to expect the market to start pushing up and up and up towards the 50 SMA on all major markets here. Okay, SPY, QQQ, DJI. I don't know or IWM. Yeah, so IWM as well. The small caps, even MDY, the mid caps. Mid caps actually did a lot better today. That's interesting. Huh. Okay, so that's something to look at for me as well. IWM also held not really well since they did break below, but they're still within this range. Okay, yeah. So FB, same thing, same scenario. Oops, not Firebird. Facebook, I'm going to expect another pushback towards the 50 SMA. So Kevin, you can do a day trade there. I would recommend day trades in this environment. We might get a small morning dip, maybe to around 353, excuse me, around 354ish to 353.50ish, and that could be your entry there for that push back towards maybe 358 to 360, and that 360 should coincide to an area of kind of choppiness and a little bit of selling that we saw back in August here. Okay, especially if we don't see that push back towards the 50 SMA. All right, so that's kind of your game plan there. I mean, there's really not much to see. We just broke this downtrend just today, so we're gonna need to see a lot more trading days for any solid technical analysis to be done on any other names that have really broken their uptrend today. Okay, Sean, let's look at NUE. So steel stocks. All right, I've really been hammering this to all my C.F.O Swing and Watch subscribers here. That I will be looking to get in, especially for CLF. If you don't mind, I'll look at CLF first. That if CLF, anything below or even at $17 here, I would want to see a lot of buying going in around 17.20-ish. Yeah, let me make this bigger for you guys. Okay, so the reason why around 17, well, first off, it was a previous level of resistance in this channel that we've been seeing, and it's a previous old resistance. So if we kind of come back down and bounce on top of it, which I think we will most likely, we should see a nice use of the $17 price level to be used as new support. But at the same time, if you come back down to 18.50 tomorrow, if all the steel names, so basically they're all the non-energy non-energy minerals. Basically, that's basically the whole industry there, and specifically the steel sector here. If they continue to sell off tomorrow, I will want to see 18.50 to hold. If you don't, that's completely fine. I'm still not going to be in this name, but I will want to see a push downward towards 17 to maybe if we go down to below 17, maybe even 16, but I really will want to see 17 hold. Okay, or else I'm going to start forgetting this name for the long term here. But on the weekly time frame, as you guys can see, obviously we broke this ascending channel that I've been looking at for months here. I've been looking at his name since June, I think. Yeah, no, late May actually, late May. All right, so this pattern finally broke down with the market. On the weekly time frame, we might start be seeing a little bit of a weakness, but I'm pretty sure we're not oversold here. Let me check. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we're not oversold at all on the weekly time frame. So on the daily time frame, we are. Yep, 30 here. Okay, so if we bounce tomorrow at 18.50, and if we go lower here, that should be perfect because that'll be the converging point right over here on the 200 SMA as well. And the 200 SMA is right at 19. So if we break below 18.50 and then bounce even harder from that point, that'll also be very, very nice. Okay, so that's it for CLF. So NUE, nothing to really see here. It's at a gray area. Other than the fact that just like any other name, we're right back at this range that we made back in June to July, around I would say 91.50-ish to around 99. I mean, yeah, that's the range. But on Friday we did break and we did break below the 50 SMA, and we didn't even attempt to kind of come back up. So this tells me that the uptrend has been officially broken here, but we should be able to hold 92. Let's say 92. Yeah, 92 is a lot better here actually. 92 should hold a lot better here. So yeah, that's basically it for NUE. I need to see a lot more trading days here to do a correct, or not correct, but a more precise TA here. Yeah, on the 2 hour, it's. I mean, we're gonna see some more selling here, to be honest. I mean, so we're oversold. We're gonna see some, we're gonna see those usual oversold bounces, and then rejection again, probably around 98 or 99. So it's something that we can't really do anything about. But NUE, yeah, NUE doesn't look too good at all. It can still have a lot more downside movement here since we're not even close to the 200 SMA here. So if we start breaking lower and break below 92, we can see retouch back towards 80 to 81. Okay, of course, Sean, of course. Okay, Kevin, PFE. Yeah, so uh, you know, I'm looking at all the major vaccine names: PFE, J&J, Moderna. Let's see what else. BNTX, right? BioNTech, since they did create the vaccine with Pfizer, or I don't know what's going on. I'm pretty sure it's just a collaboration. But BNTX, absolutely monster since 2020. So you know, there's some whispers going on right now that these specific vaccine names can be growth names. So there can be a little bit of a shift here towards these vaccine names. Pfizer, Johnson and Johnson, especially Johnson Johnson. And actually, I'll talk about Johnson Johnson later after I do PFE. But yes, so PFE, I have a lot of information in my mind, so I will make sure I do that in order for you all. I'll relay that information to you all in order. So PFE, 2 hour time frame, we're still in that steady, downtrend here, but obviously we are still in an overall uptrend. I mean, we did basically retrace more than half of this uptrend here, but we today we did bounce again. We used this area of around 43ish to 40 3.25ish, is that what I was saying? Would be a nice area to kind of dip by this name, but today I think today was a good day to buy around here. Since if we really lose this critical level of support around 43, we really don't have any support left here. Like literally, there's nothing here. Okay, so this is gonna be a huge void here. Okay, but as the world becomes more vaccinated, as more vaccine mandates start coming in as well everywhere, even though people might not like it, a lot of people are going to be more, they're going to have more eyes on vaccine names. All right. So, more eyes on vaccine names equals more money inflowing into these names. Yeah, Kevin. So, yeah, these definitely could be growth plays. Exactly. So, yeah. So, PFE, major level resistance around 44.50, support at 43. You got your clear levels right here. If you don't hold 43, you can play puts all the way back down to around 42. Maybe even back all the way back down to the previous level of resistance around 40.50ish, since there really is not any support here. Okay, so yeah, PFE, simple name that you can do. Easily can scalp as well. Sky. Before I go into BBIG, I do want to talk about J&J. Okay, so I did post this on my Instagram page for everyone to see because it's a very, very interesting name. So Johnson & Johnson has been having kind of a similar amount of options buying. Since same thing I saw in FB, okay, where they're buying a lot of October 15th contracts and further down the line, okay, even to next year. So this is kind of telling me that something's going on here. Okay, it may just be just because of the fact that we're at the 200 SMA here, like today. But the contracts that I'm holding, the October 15s, they continue to have continuous volume. The open interest is still there. There's about 11,000 contracts opened. Still, even after this dip today, I still held because I didn't hit my stop loss percentage wise, since I'm going to be using this stop loss as percentage. This trade as a percentage stop loss. But J&J is something that you guys should be watching out for. All right. Last Friday we got 13 million in volume. So that could be very interesting here for Johnson & Johnson. Okay. So BBIG. So Sky, I know you made a monster percentage on this name. Are you still holding? Or maybe hopefully you took profits around 11 or 12. That'll be a nice area to take profits there because this probably it's probably a little bit near the overbought area here. Oh no. Oh, okay. Okay, okay, I see what's going on here. So, so volume is rapidly dying here. So, you know, if we lose the strength here, so far, I mean, just on a daily time frame, you can clearly see that we're having this head and shoulders pattern here. So, sadly to say, right, this is the right there, bam, bam, right, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then we got our neckline right here. Nice. Good job on that, man. That's amazing. So it seems like we're trying to hold this range here around 7 to 7.50-ish, 55-ish. But this is unfortunately looking very bearish so far, since we are losing but that buying volume that we saw when we first saw the explosive run up here. Okay, so if we're losing this amount of buying volume coming in, that's, well, obviously you guys can kind of deduct there, use your deductive skills, right? That's going to give leeway to sellers, right? And so BBIG, you know, first off, we have a bearish chart pattern in the 2 hour time frame. I mean, you can clearly see it still on the daily time frame, the head and shoulders pattern, and then we saw that rejection here. I would want to see a stronger hold of this 21 SMA, but with this decreasing volume, this rapidly decreasing volume, we're still going to we're going to be giving leeway eventually to sellers here. So if we break below 7 here, there's a high chance that we can come back down to 6 and even 5. Okay, and the reason why I say 5 is that this is also a previous level of resistance here. Okay, and also 6 as well, because that's also a previous level of resistance. Okay, so if you break 7, and if you want to short it, you can. You just need to see that strong selling volume coming in instead of buying volume. Well, obviously the buying volume is not really even there anymore, but people are trying to keep on continuously buying this name up. So yeah, that's kind of it for BBIG. But Sky, great trade. I know you kind of went over it with me. You know, if you guys don't know who Sky is, guys, to everyone who's joining in right now, everyone, welcome. Sky is one of my top performing students, actually, from the Forex program. He's been an absolutely great student of mine. He's been doing very good. You know, it's, you know, Sky, you know, you've basically been doing really well. He's been one of my best performing students so far, to all my students who've been still in contact with me. So, and yeah, so really good job on this trade. I mean, I tend to not look at the penny stock names, but you know, I should once in a while, so I can catch some plays like this too. Okay, so any more to anyone who just arrived here? Welcome everyone. Does anyone have any recommendations for me? By the way, if anyone's interested in the 4 weeks program, I will be sending a link here. Okay. Let me pin this message right here. So this is the link towards my 4 weeks program. Just to make sure it is. Yep, it is. Okay. Yeah. So the 4 weeks program is going to start this weekend. Okay. So if you guys have any questions about that, please tell me so I can give you guys more detail. But yeah. Lucid. Good one. That's a good one. So Lucid, absolutely strong today. I wasn't looking at this, but now, since I'm looking at this now, this is This is really good. I mean, we broke out of this $23 resistance here. I'll just round it up here. That I've charted here back in the past here, back in June to July. But if we're able to hold this right here, we should be able to come back into this range here actually, Sky. So yeah, so we should be able to come back into this range. So if we kind of retest, if we retest 23 or even 23.50 ish, kind of come back down and retest it and bounce on top of it, we can continue up higher. This is pretty good. I mean, we've got this increasing volume here, and on a 2 hour time frame, we might, yeah. So we're definitely gonna get that pullback, yeah. So we should see some pullback here, maybe even back towards 22.80 ish, back to the retest of this resistance area, which is fine, which is completely fine, especially if you're not in yet. That should be good. But just do consider that we have two gaps that can potentially be filled for Lucid. So make sure that you watch out for that, especially if you start breaking 22. Okay, especially if we start breaking 22 here, we're gonna start to gap fill right here, and eventually move lower and gap fill this one right here. This little tiny movement gap up right here. Okay, so make sure you watch out for that. But Lucid, definitely be patient. But I do know Lucid can be one of those names that can really keep on continuously to be pumped. But I would say be careful, even with Lucid, with a name like this that can continuously pump, it can still be affected by the market. So Lucid, I do know there's news on it as well. I believe they went 100 miles more than Tesla, according to the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, when they tested it. So Lucid can become a huge competitor to Tesla if anything happens, and there, maybe even Kathy Wood is anticipating that, because she's been selling like tens of millions of her shares all of a sudden, even though Tesla has been one of her one of our top positions in ARK Invest, in their investment fund firm. So that could be interesting, because you never know. Maybe she might even jump into LCID because of the fact that she thinks that maybe Tesla maybe has been, they might get supply squeezed, right? And, with all these squeezes by supply shortages, Tesla might be affected. Maybe Lucid might have a better profit margin in the next few years than Tesla. So you just never know, right? So Lucid, so far, I like the car a lot better than Tesla, but just the looks of it, since Lucid is considered, to be fair to Tesla, Lucid is a luxury EV. They've branded themselves as that, so they have to make their car look really good. But Lucid, so far, I particularly like them because of the fact that they have a really long range. They have a way longer range, 100 miles more range than the Tesla. So Lucid looks pretty good. So I really like this continuous buying volume coming in here. Okay, but we do need to see a little tiny pullback tomorrow. Hopefully we do get one, since we need to see this 10 and 21 catch up as well. But the 10 is crossing the 21 up above, so that's very good to see as well. Okay, so far bullish here on Lucid. Overall, Lucid will be a great area to, good name to buy the dip here, basically. Okay, let's look at Match. So MTCH. Okay, so I did post this on my Instagram here as well. So Match, you guys already know Match Group. If you guys haven't read my post on Instagram, Match is the online dating conglomerate. They literally own every single online dating brand, except for Bumble, which is very, very funny. So, Bumble, it's led by a woman, and I think she's one of the youngest billionaires, woman billionaires, and a CEO as well, after Bumble went public. But to be honest, I don't think she will ever sell Bumble. She probably does have a little bit of ego as being a woman CEO and being a billionaire and being part of the dating scene there, the online dating scene. And so she's probably want to control that area herself, that whole company her own company there. So I don't think Match will ever look to acquire or buy out Bumble. But Match, nothing to really see here, Vivian. To be honest, other than the fact that we saw a lot of semi volume coming on Friday, so this kind of worries me. But we saw a lot of that everywhere across every names. But this is huge, 54 million. So I don't know if all the people who were just tired of this consolidation, where we literally went nowhere since this start of this year. We've been in a range from 130 to 170, 130 to 170, and etc. and etc. etc. Right? And so the people might have just sold out of fear, since the market was starting to come down, start to roll over and come down as well. And so we might just come all the way back down to 130 one more time. Okay, but if you want to play any bounces here, we have major areas of support around 142 and 146. Okay, today we already bounced off of 148.50. But I this can break down again since the downtrend just started for this name. All right. But if we're able to hold 148.50 as a new level of support moving forward here, we should see the 21 SMA support to move up higher here, since we did also converge here at the 21 SMA as well, since we touched this 148.50 level of support. Okay, Vivian, so that's it. So that's really it for our match. There's nothing else much to see. Okay, so that's it for match. Okay, Vivian, if you have any more tickers to submit here, please do. I hope everyone has been having a great evening so far. I will be getting out of this live very soon, in about 2 to 3 minutes. And so if anyone has any last remaining requests, I see that Kevin has sent me one. SLQT. What is this name? Select Quote Inc. Okay, so I do not know anything about this name other than the fact that we've been, well, so it looks like they IPO'd in 2020, January, which is very awful. They experienced that market sell-off right away after IPOing. But this looks very ugly, to be honest. The earnings look pretty bad here. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about this company, but select quote. We're probably going to see a retest of this 21 SMA here. There's really not much to see. I don't see a lot of levels forming here currently right now after this bounce here, but this is a pretty good bounce. So I'm not going to disregard that, even though I don't know anything about this company. But if we're able to hold 13.30 here, we should see a considerable bounce back up towards 14, maybe back to 15 here, as the 50 SMA is starting to go lower and lower and maybe even catch up. And if the 50 SMA catches up on the daily after this monumental bounce here, we should see the 50 SMA kind of dip lower and then start staying underneath the candlesticks, meaning XLQT can start to look a little bit better for the long term. So I guess I would say if you weren't in right here, I mean, I don't know who would buy right here. I certainly wouldn't buy here, since after this big move lower. But obviously something happened to this name that I don't know about, so I will look into it. But for now, since I don't know anything about this name, I will say I will not buy this name right here. But SLQT, this looks pretty interesting. So there's been an influx of more volume here coming in as well, after this big sell-off, and then a big final, I guess, push to kind of sell from the bottom here for people who are holding this name. That's the reason why we got this big volume right here. That's the only reason why. So there's a lot of orders here from people who are trying to get out. Okay, so yeah, SLQT, it reclaimed the 10 and it stayed above the 10 for a considerable amount of time. All it needs to do is use the 21 SMA as new support and let the 20 SMA start curling upwards. So like I said, if the 50 SMA swoops below and the candlesticks are moving up higher and the price keeps on going higher, we'll start looking at this name and it'll look a lot more attractive to me. All right, so SLQT looks okay. It looks okay, even though it's still a bottom right chart here, meaning that it looks really, really bad. We're not in an overall uptrend. Okay, so to all my viewers here, I am hitting that 50-minute mark. So if anyone, well, that is going to be my last take here, SLQT. I will have to end it here. I will see you guys all on Wednesday on the same time. I see that a lot of people, a lot of recurring viewers here, especially Kevin, Sky, Vivian, Sean, Relates. I wouldn't say your, well, it says sex relates. That's a funny name, username. But overall, thank you all for joining in. If you guys ever have any questions about the 4 weeks program or even my one-on-one mentorship, please DM me. I am flexible with my times. So if you guys ever want to set up my for that one-on-one mentorship or sign up for the 4 weeks program, please DM me if you have any questions. I highly recommend you guys to ask me questions for any details of the program and the mentorship. But overall, yeah, this is a great session today. Thank you all for joining in. I will see you all on Wednesday. Have a great rest of your night. Of course, Guy, of course. Thank you for joining. Okay. Good night, everyone.